Hey, everybody. Welcome into Recordology Live. So glad you're here on this Sunday, July the 24th, 2022. I can't believe that it is already almost August. That is insane. But welcome in. Thought we would jump on just for a little bit here and say hi to all my friends. Was getting ready to work on the Record-ology Nation show. And I got to thinking about the larger audience and was like, you know what? I need to jump on there and do a live. So here we are doing a live. Welcome in, everybody. The Padzer, welcome in. Lego Loser, welcome in. Hit that like button or thumbs up button if you would on the way in the door. I would appreciate it. Don't really have a set. Frank Sinatra himself. Nice. Welcome in. 60 Sounds. How are you? I am doing great. I have it was a good weekend because it went really fast. Also, it could be that I was woken up at 7:30 this morning with an escalation, but it's almost like Monday is happening here on a Sunday. But anyway, hello from the UK. Hey, thank you so much. And I was hoping to do this early enough that my friends in the UK could join. And I am glad to have some friends joining from across the pond. Old radios, fix the B19. That's cool. That is really, really cool. I got more projects than I care to admit that need fixing. So I need to do that for sure. I'm going on holiday tomorrow. Also, hello from Ireland. Excellent. Welcome in from Ireland. That's cool. Yeah, I love it when you guys shout out from where you're watching from. Always blows my mind. You're in Denver, Colorado, where the temperature today isn't as bad, but it has been hot. I mean, for us, hot, like 105 Fahrenheit. I know in the UK, you guys had your own heat wave just a few days ago, and most people don't have air conditioning there, which is just brutal. I've got a friend there that was just telling me that his dog barely made it through the night because it was so dang hot, even with the fans on and stuff. Just crazy. So Frank says the best is yet to come. Indeed, it is. It is, right? Lego says, I saw the Elvis film twice already. I'm starting to grow on the idea of maybe seeing that. I wasn't enthusiastic about the guy they picked to do it, but apparently he's really good. And Lisa Marie, everybody's on board. Everybody says it's like stunning. Sounds like you said, absolutely phenomenal. So I may have to check that out. Today I was actually watching the Glen Miller story on the big screen TV, and I don't watch very much of anything on there. It's pretty rare. So every time I hook it up, I'm like, wow, this is nice. I should really watch things on here more often. I wish I had more time. But it upscales the DVD. That's like a Blu-ray player. I've got another one in here, the same kind of Samsung Blu-ray player. So it upscales the DVD. But what's stunning about it is the TV, the refresh rate on the TV is it throttles between 60 hertz and 120 hertz. So it gives it like this hyper realism. It looks more realistic, like the frame rate or something is different. It's interesting. It's just an LG. It's nothing spectacular, but it's really fun. So I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And be popping into a record shop afterwards. It sounds like a fun day. 60 Sound says it was nuts in the UK, fair to hot for me. Old Radio says I got a Canon 814 camera on eBay. Speaking of cameras, I picked this up. I had seen this at a thrift store that I go to every now and then for the last month or so, maybe 2 months. And I picked it up. It's a flip camera. It's the HD, I don't know which, it's the second gen HD one. And I've been working on a show idea. Tell me if you guys think this would be interesting. Anytime I veer off of doing shows purely about record players, especially if I drift off of any kind of audio equipment content, I lose people. I don't lose people, but I lose people in the sense of not as many people watch. So it's always a risk from that standpoint. I want as many people as possible to watch, as many people as possible to enjoy. So if I have an idea that's sort of off the tracks a little bit, I'm a little nervous. So you guys that join these lives, I really appreciate it. By the way, if you're watching a replay of this, then welcome in, first of all. And make sure you have the bell notification enabled and your notifications on your phone or whatever device you're using so you don't miss these lives. I know a lot of people don't like missing them. And really the only way you're going to know that they're happening is if you have those notifications. Anyway, is doing a show comparing this with the Sony Bloggy and an iPhone camera, kind of doing a three-way side-by-side. And I've already begun filming some stuff with this. It's a 720p camera. Cisco bought Flip and then just immediately shut the company down. So it's kind of this blip in history. One thing that was kind of interesting when I was setting this up is, when you go to a new device and you set the date and time, the date year choices were only 2007 to 2012, I think, which is right around, this is like right about when this was made. So it's kind of funny that they didn't have an option to go up to this year. So it's kind of interesting. Lego says, yeah, the heat wave was awful here in the UK. I have a French bulldog and they have a lot of breathing problems. Yeah, because of how flat of a face they have. It was awful. Oh, that's so terrible. DJ Me 123 says, is there a conspiracy surrounding Glenn Miller's death? That's an interesting subject you bring up. I have something on that. Okay, so yes, there is. He basically, December 15th, 1944, he went missing. His plane, he took an unauthorized charter flight from the UK, from London, essentially, over to France, Paris, actually. His band was going to come a couple days later. The plane never landed. It took a long time before they figured out that he was even missing because he wasn't supposed to be on the plane, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's been a lot of conspiracies. There's been a lot of conspiracies. Everything from he died in a French brothel and it was covered up by the military to that he was a clandestine agent and died in service and et cetera, something that he had lived. Well, Glen's son, Steve Miller, who I actually met and drove around in my 1989 Camaro way long ago, was sort of the spokesman for the family until his passing. Now it's the Glen Miller Archive out of CU Boulder that runs everything, and they're in charge of everything except for the music rights with Sony. But anyway, he was very adamant about shutting down the conspiracy theorists. And the official thought process was that Glen had, the plane had run into friendly fire because there was a flight of Lancaster bombers coming back from a bombing raid in France, and they salvoed their bombs, and it timed out, according to the logs, that Glen's plane was very likely underneath that salvo right over the English Channel, went down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was the prevailing non-conspiracy theory up until this book came out a few years ago, Glen Miller Declassified, which I highly recommend, by Dennis Sprague. And this book, I don't want to spoil it, but it definitively solves that mystery. Let's just say that. And it's not too far off of what was believed to be, but it wasn't friendly fire. Unfortunately, the plane was lost. That was unfortunate, but it was turns out it wasn't a friendly fire salvo. Check out that book. It's absolutely fascinating. So yeah, there is. And Steve was really, really hard. And that's one reason why Steve Miller sort of commissioned Dennis to do the work on this book, is that Steve was so sick of all of the hurtful things that were being said about his father, when in fact he died an honorable death supporting the Allied war effort. Lego says, Austin Butler was incredible. Not once during the entire film did I not think of him as Elvis. Oh, that was the actor. Okay. He sounded and moved like him. In the earlier performances, late 50s and early 60s, he sung and blew my mind. That's what I keep hearing. I need to see it. I love your weight damaged video, says Haunted Coachman. That's a cool username. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That shows. So, little inside baseball. Yesterday was the ultimate day of bad comments on the channel. Now, when I started this channel, my thought processes was not to mingle in the comments whatsoever in terms of stopping things from being said, from blocking people, from, none of that. Just let it be a free for all. That was before I realized how nasty people were. And not so much to me, but just to each other and to newcomers. And so it wasn't very long that I realized that I needed to play an active part in mitigating issues in the comment section. I had to control our audience feedback to a degree. I did not want to dissuade people from telling me I was wrong, because that was going to happen from day one. I was never about trying to be right all the time and teaching everything and telling you guys stuff, because I'm a newcomer. It was all about, here's what we know collectively, here's what we're learning. And part of that process was always by design, learning and getting feedback. So I was never going to, block people or delete comments saying I was wrong. Still get them all the time. But I realized at some point I had to do it for the sake, not people that were dissent focused, but people that were just being nasty and mean and spamming. We get spam stuff, all the sex site stuff that come up overnight, and those get blocked. But people that are belligerent, people that are mean to each other, are just like cruel. It's just unneeded negative energy. Those people, block. The block list on this channel is massive. So, and it takes, if you pop up out of nowhere, usually what happens is you'll get some smart aleck that'll show up overnight. It's always overnight, and wake up in the morning and there'll be 40 videos with the same joker commenting his whatever comment on the same thing. Sometimes saying the same thing over and over, spamming, just being nasty, just being belligerent, and they just get blocked. But yesterday was this, and it was this, I think the video I did yesterday, and I said it in the video that people don't like being wrong, but they really don't like it when people don't like to be wrong. It's really what it comes down. They don't like to admit that they're wrong. People don't like to humble themselves. They don't like to humiliate themselves, or have a sense of humility, I should say. It's just human nature. And so once the facts don't go their way, then they say, well, I just believe what I believe. And I think that the whole Crosley's damage your records thing, and you can't track more than, a gram and a half, goes along with that. So I did the video yesterday, and it was 100% honest. There was no trickery, none of that. We just filmed it like it was. People didn't like that. And so I've got a bunch of spicy comments, and a lot of people got added to the block list. Even a couple people that I wouldn't call them old timers, but people that have engaged on a civil level before. And it was a bummer. I don't want to have to do that, but I want the place to be a positive community. Everybody that has a YouTube channel calls it a community, but I want it to be positive out there. And building the sense of family and community is something that YouTube is kind of secretly all about, if you think about it, because, and I've said this before too, when I started on YouTube, it was, a place to upload videos and shows. And they just had this comment feature or whatever. I didn't really think about it. This is years and years before this channel. But what really happens to be the case is, YouTube is a social media platform. It is not a TV service provider. The type of social media that it provides closely resembles a TV service provider in a lot of ways. But the secret sauce about YouTube is the relationship. And speaking for myself and the research I've done and my wife has done on, everybody is really engaging in YouTube for a relationship on some level, a relationship with personality type, content type, etc. You don't like to watch YouTubers where the person is so grating that you can't stand them, even if they're doing cool stuff or showing cool stuff. For the most part, you're not going to subscribe to a channel that's annoying you. But if I kind of like that guy or gal or whatever, and they're kind of fun to listen to or whatever, you start to build that relationship. And then those people comment, and they, I comment back. It's a two-way communication form. And that's what leads to the sense of community. So that's something I've learned over the years, is that's what it's really, really about. Now, from my television broadcast background, I'm predisposed to do television type of things when I'm doing content. It's why there's an intro, an outro. There's bumpers, there's television things, there's graphics, there's music, there's segues, there's story arc, there's a climactic point, et cetera, et cetera. There's a finale. And YouTube doesn't necessarily work that way. It's somewhere between structured television content and like a TikTok Wild West. Just point your camera at any piece of crap thing and it goes viral or doesn't. It's somewhere in between. So there's this like nebulous state of show content. I still trend towards the structured side. I just can't help myself. It's just muscle memory because I've been doing television broadcasts since the 90s. So for me, it's something that's hard to break out of. But anyway, there you go. There's a lot of talk about nothing. All right. But anyway, yeah, there was a lot of people that didn't like that show, and a lot of people clicked on it. They always say no, there's no such thing as bad publicity, kind of a thing. That goes in that category. And we knew that would be controversial. It wasn't done to be controversial necessarily. It's done to be interesting. But people are watching. It's doing, from a metric standpoint, it's on par with our good performing videos. It's not, the one before was above. This one is on par, but it's good. I'm glad people thought it was interesting. And I love doing stuff that I don't know what the outcome is. We just experienced it together. Miss your thrift store crate digging. I need to do more of that. And, I go there quite a bit, but, I need to film more. And when I did a survey recently about it, people don't, but you deviate off of record players, they really lose interest quick. Even records. You would think that we would all like to look at records, but I think a lot of that comes from the fact that we all have very specific interests. There's the records that I listen to that I like, that are my grail records, that are my choice records, would be other people's, bin fodder, stuff they would skip over. And so somebody, you got channels like Channel 33, good show, but he'll go in there and review records that I would never listen to if I was given them, and vice versa. I'm sure he feels that way about me. So I think when it comes to records, it's very, very specific. When I do a show about crate digging, I try to generalize it as much as possible. Instead of saying, here's what I'm looking for, I try to flip through stuff, mention things that have an interest to me, even if they're not my specific type of record or something I would want, and really just open it up to the audience and say, what would you guys have, what did I miss? Because, that feeling, somebody's flipping through and say, oh, no, you shouldn't have passed that up. And so I try to make it as involved and engaged as possible. Also, there's, and more inside baseball, the videos are put together on purpose in a way that gets you engaged. There's definitely a active attempt to hook the audience either through a thumbnail, a title, subject matter, the first 2 minutes of the show to get you interested. And then you dangle the carrot, or as Walt Disney said, the weenie. Think of like hot dog on a skewer kind of weenie out there to make people want to stay. Because one of the things that we're measured on in terms of performance with Google and YouTube is duration. And our view duration is usually about 50% of the video. So if we make a 10-minute video, average view duration is 5 minutes. So it's always, and that's a combination of people clicking out and people that are skipping through the video. So you try to embed content that makes skipping undesirable. Like during Vlogmas, part of our giveaway clues will be not necessarily at the end of the video, not necessarily at the beginning. It's just embedded somewhere in the video. You got to watch it to find out. And that's by design. And then the weenie or the carrot is like when you walk into Walt Disney World or to Disneyland, and the first thing you see is the castle. And that's designed to get you to the middle of the park. Then once you get to the middle of the park, which is called the hub, you look around and you can see the various land carrots, which are, for the Tomorrowland would be the spaceship, the rocket spinning, and you see that off in the distance. Oh, that's interesting. I want to go look for that. Or if you are in Fantasyland, you'll see the carousel, and you'll want to go that way. Or you know what I mean? Like you see Adventureland, you'll see the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse or something. So the point is, within the YouTube world, the weenie might be stay tuned to the end of the show because I'm going to do something weird. Stay tuned to the end of the show because we're going to take this apart. Stay tuned to the end of the show because we're doing a giveaway, et cetera, et cetera. And that hopefully, brings people. I think there's more to it than some people realize. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of thought. And, as I'm hiking or walking or whatever, or exercising or just laying in bed or whatever I'm doing, I'm always cooking up something. My wife, same thing. She's cooking up ideas. We'll toss ideas around. Well, what if we did this? What if we did that? And, having a dynamically created show is something that is going to make people want to watch it. And that's the whole point. If we're going to take the effort and the expense to do this, it makes sense to make a worthwhile show that's interesting. And if you look at some of the best YouTube out there, like Tech Moan, via Westlife, shows like that, 8-Bit Guy, those are not just haphazard random clips put together. One of the struggles, and sorry, I've veered off of comments. I will jump back in here in a minute. One of the struggles that I face is how segmented I've created this channel to be. So I don't review a lot of rock and roll and metal. I don't focus on high-end equipment. In fact, I'm doing the opposite thing. I'm focusing on a lot of records that mainstream isn't interested in. Big band, musicals, Disney, children's records, whatever, Western. And I'm focused on entry-level equipment, which goes against the bigger, better, more mentality that a lot of people have. Still can't believe there's a Technics right here. And it wouldn't be there if it hadn't been for the gift that we received of it. But the whole idea was, let's focus on the entry level. Well, that kind of goes against all things. So our audience, if you think of it about a pie, our piece of the pie has been shrunk by this music style and the type of equipment. So now our potential audience is this. And that's something I didn't realize until a couple of years in. I was like, oh, man. But at the same time, if it meant that I needed to review things I wasn't passionate about or be disingenuous anyway, I couldn't do it. Because every one of these shows, I'm very ADD. And I don't mean that in a haphazard, throw the term around lightly kind of way. I mean in a literally, as a child, I probably had ADD kind of way. And I'm very, very, very obsessive about a specific topic for a period of time. And then I move on. So if I channel that, sort of ebb and flow interest level into content, it means that I'm very passionate when I'm doing the video. And then, a day or two later, I've moved on to something else. It works really well when you're doing a YouTube show like that. So it's got to follow the interest flow for sure. All right. Thank you for indulging me, especially if you guys have heard that before. All right, here we go. Okay. Alfonso says, hello from Denver, a fellow Denverite. I would like to know if those camera will work with my large scale model train. I'm trying to record. Oh, I get it. Like these guys. Yeah. So if you're doing a G scale train, it's interesting how so many record people also do trains. I'm no exception. I do trains as well. I do N gauge, so mine's super tiny. Couldn't put much of a camera on there. If you had a garden scale or even an O scale train, you could probably rig something up. I mean, this isn't too terribly big, so I think that probably could be done. Robert, finally caught you live. Hey, I'm glad you're here, Robert. Thank you for joining. John says, I have a Connie Francis 10-inch LP, Who's Sorry Now, on the MGM label. Know anything about it? I don't. But if you are not familiar with 10-inch LPs, it was sort of this fad, 1950s fad. I've got a box full of them. I don't have any Connie Francis. But check out, we've done a couple of shows about it. So check that out for sure. Robert says, I'm for any turntable that turns more folks into vinyl collecting. I agree. One of the comments I blocked, was it this morning? I think it was this morning I got this comment. Somebody literally said, and I'm paraphrasing, but they literally said something to the effect of, if you're new to vinyl, just stay away and don't listen to anything this guy has to say. So it's just like people, it's weird. It's like if you have a record, and it's more so vinyl related than any other hobby. Like, I don't feel like model train people are this way as much. I don't feel that Viewmaster, slide collecting people, whatever nerdy hobby, for some reason it's records. You could go out, buy a record that you own outright. It's yours. Nobody else owns it. It's not historically significant. Whatever. You own it. You say whatever about it. And then people are like, no, you're wrong. And same thing about playing those records. Well, that's a crime what you're doing. You should not be playing a record on a Crosley Cruiser, et cetera, et cetera. People got mad at me for using the Judy Collins record. Oops, did I say people? whatever record it was I used yesterday. By the way, that's all a tongue-in-cheek thing. I don't really have anything that bad against Judy Collins. There is a little tie-in though. I don't know if we'll ever say that on the show, but we had a little run-in with Judy Collins herself in the family back in the day, which may or may not have something to do with our little pretend, maybe so-so pretend feud. But she is a good singer and a fellow Coloradoan. Anyway, she's from Colorado. But it's tongue-in-cheek. It's just goofing off. It's nothing serious. Okay, let's see. Hey, Don, welcome in. Sorry I'm behind on comments, guys. As always, right? If I don't answer your comment, just give it 20 minutes and I'll eventually get around to it. Haunted Coachman, Glen Miller is still alive. He's having a Kit Kat break. That's a long Kit Kat break. John Lewis. Oh, yeah, we already did that. Sorry, I'm double backing on this. I see Pizza Boy. Hello, welcome in. Robert says, I also love your channel because you remind folks that there are lots of well-built turntables available at thrift stores. Yeah, absolutely. I've got no problem with used vintage vinyl. Absolutely. I just don't like it when people say things like the only way to go is vintage or the only way to go is new, et cetera, et cetera. And there are people out there that, like I was saying, have incredibly, surprisingly, polarizing and very strongly held beliefs. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sometimes takes not too much. This thing wasn't perfect when I got it. All it needed was a belt, some cleaning, although it was immaculate as was overall. It needed just a light dusting. I did put some oil in the motor shaft, and it's been a champ. It's been an absolute champ. And sometimes it's not that way. Like there are times when what was the one we did not too recently? It was it was a British. It came out of some sort of cabinet, or it was intended to go into one. It didn't have a case, and it was a changer. And I did a couple shows on it, and it's like, this isn't a project I want right now. And I ended up selling it off to somebody who was looking for a project. And sometimes I do take the challenge, and if it's simple enough, I can deal with it. My level of expertise is belts, lubrication, cleaning, and capacitors if I'm pushed to it. But we haven't done a show of replacing cabs. We need to, probably. Haunted Coachman goes on to say lots of people's first record player is a suitcase player, either as a present or a first purchase while you start with records and maybe upgrade when they can afford it. Yeah, and I hate the term gateway because of the connotation of bad stuff, but it's a good entry point into the hobby. And a lot of people say, yeah, I started with a cruiser and I moved up. And that's fine. Some people can't tolerate that. They can't tolerate somebody playing their own records on a cruiser, even if whatever. They just can't stand that. It's so heinous to them that they just get completely turned off by it. Just whatever, right? When I started in this I got back into vinyl in 2015. Yes. It was my birthday in 2015. I got my first record player as an adult. And it was the Vibe player. It was a 3-speed unit. And at that point in my life, it was a 2-speed unit. At that point in my life, I knew nothing. I knew the very, very basics. I was a beginner, a complete beginner. And to show you how much of a beginner's channel this was, I started this show in April of 2017. So I had not much experience when we started filming. Everything I know I've learned mostly from you guys and research and learning the hard way. But at the end of the day, I've done wrong things and I've done right things. I think I've done more right than wrong, I hope. But I've learned, as we all do, and that's fine. And the good people, the nice people that are willing and eager to share that information are the kind of people I like. The people that are negative and polarizing and just pushing people away and nasty, I don't have any use for those kinds of people on this channel, and that's why they don't get a platform. They get blocked. They can move on. They can watch the shows all they want, but we're not gonna have people. This isn't a public forum. A lot of people also don't realize how this works. I get comments where people are like, Does the presenter know blah, 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 blah? Does this guy even blah, blah, blah? Like you're talking to this guy when you're in the comments. I don't know how you think this is working, but these are not anonymous comments. We know you're out there. And if you're saying something nasty, I'm going to know it. But it just blows my mind that people think this is going to work. And they think that somehow this is a public democratic environment. And it's not. It's a private thing. Kind of. It's, how do I say this? The channel that I created for us is a place that everybody is welcome to. Everybody is welcome. And if people behave badly or they're mean to each other, then, I don't want to provide that platform for them anymore. I want it to be a happy, positive place. But nobody has, any right to commandeer the comments or to treat people badly. It's not a full democracy. This is a place that is not by invitation, because anybody can join, but it's where, we want to keep it positive. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. All right, I'm going to stop. You know what I'm saying? People have this amazing sense that it's like they walk in your house and they start sitting on your couch and they're like, hey, go get me dinner. I deserve it. I have a right to dinner here. And while they're in your house, that's what it's like. I see Pizza Boy. I have a used turntable. Kind of love having an outdoor, or kind of love having an adventure of fixing them. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it seems to always grow more and more cost, and the adventure always grows, right? If you haven't done so already, please hit the thumbs up button. I would appreciate that. Chubby Channel says, are rubber turntable mats better than fabric ones included with the Audio Technica? Turntable mats, we've done shows about this. Search the channel for this. We've compared them with sound tests. I don't prefer, I have a rubber mat on here. The Technics actually has a customized platter mat. It's actually really annoying. So it looks like a regular rubber platter mat. This is circa 1981, so it's kind of dried out. It's not very rubbery anymore, which is frustrating. And you can see the cutout here for 7-inch records, so you can, grab the edge of it. But the problem is this little protrusion right here. See that? That's designed to fit down in the platter around the spindle, which is removable because this is a changer. And it sits flush. It sits flush like that. But if you put on a platter mat that is any different kind of platter mat that's flat on the bottom, because I'd like to use an acrylic, then it protrudes just enough that the thing doesn't lay flat. So that's frustrating, but that's what that looks like. In terms of, some types of materials will build up more. I have platter mats here, so we can look at them. Soda cans, I promise. Soda cans. I need to empty my office trash can. They have different sonic properties. I have a bunch here. So this is a super thick rubber one that came off of the LP3, and it's flush on the back. This is an Audio Technica. And it's barely been used because, like I said, given the opportunity, I prefer an acrylic. I also have off camera here an RT85 with the acrylic platter, so it doesn't need a platter mat. Then you've got rubberized cork. Looks like cork, but it's kind of rubbery. A lot of people like these as well. Probably the weirdest one I have is carbon fiber. This is a carbon fiber, Crosley carbon fiber platter mat. It's got fabric on that side. Carbon fiber is interesting. It's kind of a glassy material. It looks really cool. It's kind of hypnotizing when it spins. A random Johnny Mathis record down here. I don't know why. This is my favorite, probably. This is the Hudson Hi-Fi acrylic. And it's literally just a 2 mil slice. It's got an indent here for protruding labels. And it's completely flush on the back. And I wanted to use it up here on the Technics, but couldn't do it for the same reason I was saying. And I don't have any... Do I have any felt ones here? I may not have any felt ones here. Got another rubber one. And then this really cool kind of green one, acrylic as well. So yeah, that's my preference is acrylic. but none of them are. It's not like none of them are going to give you a drastic change. Like nothing you do in the platter mat world is a oh my gosh, it totally unlocked the sound. And you look at like selling points on acrylic and they'll be like, well, it tightens the mids and it gives you a better bass response. Like, and I'm sitting there with headphones, like, I guess, like, I'm trying to be as objective as possible when I'm reviewing these. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I do hear the bass is good, but it's so minuscule. It's so minuscule that I wouldn't rush out and feel like you're missing out by not having a certain kind of platter mat. But yeah, there you go. I mean, static buildup, et cetera, that would be one of the things you would want to look for. But even that's open to interpretation and climate. Right here, Colorado gets extremely dry. So in the winter here, I get constant cracking and popping of static buildup. And not only on vinyl, but also on reel-to-reel. My Magnavox did it so bad, where it would just like, it would like these incredible pops and snaps, and it was very loud. Robert says, I used to find good stuff at thrift stores, but now there's more crate diggers, and they've raised the prices too. That's crazy, dude. It's like $3 for a used record. I was watching one of our regulars, Tim Allen, talking recently about a thrift store visit where they were 29 cents. I'm like, I don't think I've ever had 29-cent records. I mean, they've been $1 before, but Goodwill's charging $2.99 a record in a lot of their locations now. So that's frustrating. I bought a Fluence bass model turntable after watching your video, and honestly, it's the best turntable I've ever owned. Thanks for. Oh, I'm glad for. Is that the RT80? That's a great turntable. And just like U-turn, the Fluence bottom of the line and top of the line are pretty close. Like there's not a huge difference in quality. There's little minor differences here and there, but the RT80 is a fantastic turntable and not that much different than an RT85. You know what I mean? Like they're close. They're very, very cool. So I'm glad it works out for you. It's a surprisingly good stuff. Sunlighter01 sporting the very cool badge indicating that he or she is in the Vinyl Nation. I would encourage you guys to join the Vinyl Nation. You guys are in a live, so you're on the inside circle already. You're getting some inside scoop. If you want more inside information, you want an extra show a week, here's what you do. Take the cost of one Starbucks, like $3.99. I think we charge $3.99 a month. You get, a weekly show extra and other benefits as well, including these cool badges. Anyway, Sunlighter01 says, a very cool name. I love that name. Shows where you play records would be more interesting if YouTube lets you play more of them. Amen. Absolutely. And that's one thing I didn't realize too when I started this channel was like, oh yeah, we play records, et cetera, et cetera. And then to realize that there's active, pressure and rules about that dissuade you from doing that made it kind of hard because initially the show was not going to be as focused on gear. It was going to be focused on finding cheap records, learning about the pressing, about when they were recorded, talking about the artwork, and really, focusing on the record. Recordology. It's not called record playerology because that ended up being sort of a side thing. And then it became the main thing. It can be boring to hear about the record. See what I mean? But not get to hear the record. I know. I agree. By the way, if you guys watch the recent show about damaging, how much weight does it take to damage a record? And we annihilated a record by an artist we won't mention again. And people were asking for a sound test after the damage, both on a high-end record player or on the Cruiser that we did the test on. The biggest damage was done by the Vita Nola phonograph. We put 172 gram stylus down on a vinyl record just for fun and shaved this record. Or he shaved it. Where is that record? Where did I put that thing? I think it's back behind the cabinet. Anyway, if you want those sound tests, that's going to be the topic of today's Vinyl Nation show going up tonight. So if you would like to get those sound tests and see what happens and listen to that record, we don't have the copyright restrictions over there like we do on the non-paid show. So I can play more content. So you're invited to check out that as well. So yeah, in the description down below, if you're interested, just join down there, and we'd love to have you on board. That would be fun. Okay, I am behind. Wow, we got a lot of comments. I am behind. All right, I'm going to try and rapid fly catch up. It's so hard for me not to go on tangents. Raloria9173, hello, welcome in. Glad to have you here. John Lewis, would love to see some reviews on vertical turntables. Me too. I haven't got my hands on any yet. Absolutely. Off topic, you live in Colorado. How is the water situation for you? They're always declaring a drought right around 4th of July, and they just dissuade people from fireworks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the water situation it's expensive. It's definitely expensive, but it's not too terrible. El Diner goes on to say, I mean, jazz and big band, I'd argue, are the best things to play with vinyl. A lot of dynamic range. And I would tend to agree, but, you start going down musical style preferences, and everybody's got, an opinion, which is valid for them, right? Absolutely. Slambo's Car of Idiots. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Alfonso says, can I possibly see one of your model trains? I don't have one arm's reach. I don't have a huge collection. Where is it? Yeah, it's in the other room. One of these days I might, feature it on the show. It's just an N gauge. I don't have a layout, a permanent layout. You can see that board back there. That is a layout in progress, but there's there's no permanently affixed furniture or anything like that. I've began experimenting with 3D printing buildings, and I'm still working on the great Recordology 3D printed 45 adapter. Do I have any in here? Yeah. So I've got a couple mock-ups. We have these are different mock-ups from different model shops, and we are taking it in-house because we recently invested in a 3D printer. Here's one of our own made ones. And so we're working on finishing the designs, and there's a lot of, you think this is a simple thing, but the spindle hole has to be perfect. The outer diameter has to be perfect so you don't have wow and flutter. So we're working on that, and eventually you'll be able to buy a Recordology 45 adapter. That's the goal. But while I got the printer too, I'm like, I can't help but doing some other things too. I've had some fun. 3D printed my Robbie the Robot. This is pretty sick. If you are a science fiction fan, this is Forbidden Planet. It's awesome stuff. And if you look really close, you can see the layers. It's kind of hard to see that. If it was, the camera is low enough resolution, you can't quite tell. But there's like layers. But at the same time, depending on the design, this is just a freeware design from thingiverse.com. It does a pretty good job, except for things that protrude out of open space. You can see it's very rough. And initially, the plastic was stringing down. So you have to trim that up, and I haven't found out a great way to do that. It happens with the 45 adapters too. For instance, if you look on the bottom of this prototype, it's kind of rough for that same reason, because this wafer thing that sticks out, it doesn't do a good job of having the bottom be smooth unless you build a support underneath it. And so what happens is it'll print like a little raft, which is it's designed to be snapped off. So designing that to snap off in the best way possible is still a work in progress. This one was built with a raft. Okay, so this is a good example. So here's one that was built without a raft. And I'm sorry it's low resolution webcam, but you can see I just had to clip things off and try to use a file to get it as flat as possible. And this one was built with a raft, and you can see it's got a more uniform texture. This is our best prototype yet that we've made. This is pretty dang close. So with that raft, it snaps off, leaving a uniform pattern. So this is still a work in progress. I don't know how I got on that tangent, but there I am, once again, not catching up on comments. Oh yeah, the model trains. I do engage model railroading as well. That's awesome. Mark, hey, Recordology from Newport News, Virginia. How are you this evening? I'm doing wonderful. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. And I'm really glad to have all these friends here. We got 38 people. Thank you so much for jumping on and saying hi. We're about to jump into the week, you guys. We got one more last hurrah coming with the one more video we're putting up tonight on the Nation. You're invited. We're going to be listening, sound testing that damaged record. Eldiner Productions. Hope I'm saying that right. That's just how popular music was distributed back then. Sinatra's in the Wee Small was the first real album to break it. Yeah, exactly. Concept albums, etc. Yep. Carlos, do you keep records in G or G plus condition? So G or G plus would be good or good plus, which is basically the lowest rated level of yeah, I do. I have some rough records. When I started this channel, we were getting records that were free, that were hand-me-downs, that were free bin at the Second and Charles stores have what's called a free bin where they're literally just tossed in there, and antique stores, and you're going to find a lot of poor quality. And yeah, in some cases, yeah, sometimes they're scratchy and I still like to have them. Sometimes it's just like, oh, it's too bad, I can't deal with it. It just depends. But yeah, I would keep records in poor condition depending on the subject matter. How about you? Would you guys do that? Send in the clowns. That's a sad song. I'm on the fence about this thing, so I spent $500 on it, invest in a ton of time and space into it. It's something nobody has said, right? The Judy Collins thing. Yeah, one of these days I want to tell you guys a story. Carlos, greetings from Mexico. Thank you, my friend. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. Gatekeeping is in every fandom, and it's BS. It's true. It is gatekeeping when people are trying to, control who's allowed to be in the hot. It's just so frustrating. Was not expecting that whatsoever. But I've seen it in sports. Like both of our kids, when they were kids, they're adults now, were in competitive sports, and both sports were riddled with gatekeeping, sadly. Inspecting Gadgets, cool name, says I love toying with lower cost turntables. It's fun, and you don't feel like you're risking your investment as much too. Eldiner says I have long since given up on vintage equipment because the older it is, the more likely. And you know what? That is, I used to be like snapping up old stuff way more frequently myself, and then I realized that you almost guaranteed to have capacitor issues. You're almost guaranteed to have problems. There's going to be something that's preventing it from working. You're going to have to. Now, some people love that. They eat it up. They're like, great, it's a challenge. I'm not predisposed to that mindset as much. I would rather make a minor investment, a minor tweak, and get it working, or find something even better yet that just works. Talk about its design, talk about its functionality, and I've got no problem with new equipment. Mark says, from Newport News, Virginia, go however you want or decide with vinyl. Old Radio says, mine was a BSR from Goodwill. Heck yeah. That's where you started. Absolutely. Slambo says, my first player was a Fisher Price. Now I'm seeing them at antique stores for $10. I did get one again. I did get mine. That was mine first too, as a Fisher Price. I had the brown one still, and I have it. I bought another one. I paid $30 for mine about 2 years ago. But I did see one for $10 at an ARC thrift store about a month ago. And they're surprisingly popular. Apparently a lot of kids had them. There was the blue and white one, and then there was the brown one. My mom bought me a blue and white one, and it had problems. She took it back, and then she ended up getting the brown one. They need to bring record changers back. I know. Nobody's doing the changers. Yep. Eldiner says, my friend started with a base level Victrola, now has my old Audio Technica LP60. Really cool. I see Pizza Boy says, one of my favorite turntables has a BSR changer on a Sanyo Music Center. That's really cool. I don't have a BSR, but I've got its big brother, the Glenburn, and I love it, but the problem is it runs fast, and I can't stand the pitch being off. That's one reason why I'm in love with this thing is I get the changer, full auto, and I have the strobe. And without having the control over that AC motor in that Glen burn. It's so frustrating, but it is cool. It is cool. It was my first changer. Alfonso says, do you know if a portable battery turntable will do for road trip? I would like to be able to listen to my... Yes. And so the number one best, highly recommended portable is the Victrola. Victrola's not talking to me right now, by the way. They're mad at me. Where's that thing? I thought it was in there. I guess it's in the other room. What is the Revolution Go? I think it's this black. Well, there's different colors, but it's this plastic with a guitar strap, and it's got a lithium-ion rechargeable battery, Audio-Technica cartridge. I think it's 3 speeds. The sound quality is phenomenal. I would recommend that. It's kind of pricey, but everything is right now. But that's a fantastic battery-operated portable. Yeah, Victrola. They did not like the way the V1 Music Center review went. The V1 with a VP190 cartridge review did not get a favorable review. I've always done honest reviews. Some people don't believe that, but even if I'm getting a sample product, you're going to get an honest review. I'm not here to, give people free promotion. So if the product sucks, I'm going to say it. If it's good, I'm going to say it. Even if I pay for it, even if you pay for it, kind of a thing. They weren't too enthusiastic on that review, and wanted me to review another product, and the video was already up, so it was too late. And I don't like, doing that where we even review multiple products. I wanted to review the one that I got, because that's going to indicate what it's like for everybody else. You're not going to cherry pick through bad ones until you get a good one, kind of a thing. So I didn't pull the video down. I didn't, I agreed to review another one and do a second review. I agreed to they moved to Denver. It's really frustrating because they had just moved here to Denver as their headquarters. And I offered to go down to their office. Excuse me. Go down to their office and review it and talk about it and stuff. But then they decided to cut me off, which is a bummer. They were the first company we worked with, but they appear to have cut us off. Which is frustrating, because they're doing some great things. That was not a good product, the one I had. It was maybe faulty, and that's fine. But it's just kind of a bummer. It's really frustrating because most companies, and even Victrola in the past, had really been receptive to negative reviews and said, no, we're glad that you gave us the negative review because it keeps us on our toes. It helps us to know how our product is hitting the real world, and it helps us go back and work on the designs. I've had excellent, feedback in that regard from Victrola, from Crosley, from other companies that embrace and understand that a review is a review, and feedback of any kind is valuable. But this one they didn't like that one, and they stopped talking to me. So that's okay. That's okay. We are an independent organization here. We're reviewing anything we come across. And because of that, I'm not going to crap on Victrola products. I'm going to stay as unbiased as ever. And that's why I say that Victrola Go portable is muy bien. It's muy bien. It's excellent. One of my favorite turntable. Okay, we talked about that. Battery operated. Icy Pizza Boy. My Technics SL1210 uses a rubber mat from an SL-Q2. Did you see the one I just showed? I think that might be the same one. I wish it was flat so I could just switch it out. You can buy replacement rubber mats, but I'm not a huge rubber mat guy. L Diner says, I just have a felt mat that I got with my Curtis Mayfield. That's fine. That's usually what turntables come with. This good soft surface for your record. Larry Shaver says, BSR was a good turntable, very easy to fix. If you could tell me how to adjust the speed on mine without shaving down the drive shaft, I would appreciate it, because that's the only way I can see to change speeds on that thing. Some people think you can shave down the idler wheel, but some people think that doesn't have any bearing on the gear ratio, that it's all about the drive shaft. Anyway, if there's any easy way to change it, because it's running about 6 to 7% too fast, which I heard is pretty common. And no, when you load it up with the weight of a full stack of records, it doesn't change it. Larry says, BSR was a good turn to. I just read that. Okay, sorry. Mark says, how many different rubber mats do you currently own? I think just the two, maybe. I think I have three. I've got this one that's dried out. I've got the good, thick, flat one from Audio Technica. And then I've got a thinner rubber one. I don't know what that came on. Finally got a live stream. Hey, I'm glad you're in. Azzy Chan, welcome in. Old Radios has come across 59-cent records. Tell me, don't keep the secret to yourself. Did he say Tim Allen? Not the Tim Allen. It is the Tim Allen. It's not the guy that was in Home Improvement, Tim Allen, but it is the actual, been named Tim Allen since he was born, Tim Allen. And a heck of a nice guy. He won one of the record players that we gave away this past Christmas. He won a Crosley Coda Entertainment Center, the magnetic phono cartridge. Haunted Coachman says most of the UK's charity shops put their records on eBay. Interesting. Here in the United States, Goodwill has a website called Shop Goodwill, something like that. I think it's shopgoodwill.com. And they cherry picked some of the best stuff and put it on there. But it's just kind of hit or miss. I don't think I've ever bought anything off that website. They do an auction, too, on there, I think. Slambo says, I found a thrift store today in Milwaukee. Your Brewers are kicking the Rockies' butts lately, by the way. I haven't checked the score if we've lost yet again. The score the other day was like 18-1 or something. Bottom of the seventh, Colorado 8. Oh, we're up on Milwaukee by 1 point. But yesterday's score, a couple days ago, it was like we lost a huge margin. When was that? Yeah, on Saturday, we lost 9-4. You guys are doing good. It's the first time we faced you this season. You guys are killing it. Anyway, thrift store had 12-inch records at 95 cents, 7-inch records at 45. I've never seen a shop deviate the price or change the price up based on size. If I knew the price beforehand, I would have grabbed the Glen Miller singles. Oh, there's Glen Miller singles. Oh, my goodness. Eldiner says, yeah, I don't really like the sound of the higher end needles anyway. From what I've heard in samples, sounds kind of, I'm not sure what you're saying there. I'm sorry. And limiting some of the high. Yeah. I do love the Grado Gold Prestige. I think it sounds warm, but it sounds so close to the black, which is so much cheaper, that it's just like, I'm using the Sumiko Black Pearl on there right now, and it sounds as good as the Grado to me. So I'm not going to be buying $15,000 cartridges anytime soon, which is good because I probably could never afford a $15,000 cartridge or anything close to that. Lost my place again. Holy moly, I'm behind on comments. I'm sorry, you guys. All right, I'm really going to fly through it. Mark comes in with a $5 super chat. Mark Covington, $5 super chat. Wow, we're up to 50 people. Smash that thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. Thank you and welcome in. How many turntables do I own? With the super chat, I have to say it. Oh, I don't have an exact count. Right here in this room, how many turntables? Let's start there. Is there anything over there? No turntables down there. Over here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm not moving my finger very much, so you know that it's pretty densely crapped up. 7, 8, 9 in this room. There are 9 turntables in this room. I got a lot of portables down here under my desk, so that's why there's a bunch there. I've got the RT85N. I've got the Technics SLB5. And in the storage, we have storage right now. We have, if I had to guess, oh gosh, there's probably 10 to 15 in there right now. So probably 25. And it changes from time to time. I actually usually am actively trying to downsize turntables. We do a lot of giveaways. I gift them. Everybody that I know has a record player. Sometimes we'll sell them, et cetera, et cetera. I do want to keep on hand a good supply of interesting ones, especially portables, just because it spices up the show. I don't want to always be whipping out the same record player. So I want to keep it spicy by having, several to choose from at any given time. Never, ever, 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 ever thought that I would have the luxury of that. And I know that that's crazy and weird, and I'm thankful for it. And at any given time, I'm using one turntable because that's all you can hear at once. But I usually have 2 active daily drivers, sometimes 1. Okay. I have some that I'll leave purposely off the show for an inordinate amount of time just so that people forget about it and then bring it back, because we will have new people have joined since then. And they'll be, oh, I didn't know you had one of those. We've done hundreds of record player reviews. Hundreds. It's a playlist. You should check it out. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, I'm just catching up on comments. Getting a gift for a friend, a brand new Elvis record. Awesome. That's cool. Alex says, hello from Greece. Alex, welcome in. You can tell how late I am on comments because I'm just now seeing that. Records and CDs have all dried up at our Goodwill. Really? It depends from one to the next. Like, one of the Goodwills I go to never has records. The other one always has hundreds. There's this ARC thrift store I like to go to sometimes that always has about 1,000 CDs. It just depends from store to store. Family Dad, sorry I'm late. No, you're right on time. Glad to have you here. Alfonso wants the robot. Paint the robot. Should I paint it? So I need to get like a different kind of paint. We tried painting a different creature, and we were using the wrong. It was like a gesso paint. It was like an oil base. It needs to be acrylic because this is PLC. There's also a really tiny Robbie the robot that's so low res that he is no good. And I've got a B9 from not Forbidden Planet, Lost in Space. And there was an episode of Lost in Space where they met, and Robbie the robot was mean. He's like, I'm the superior robot. No, I am. B9 is superior. No, I am. I will melt your brain or something. I don't know. But I just love these things. I love it. I love it. My dad is the one to blame for getting me hooked on 50s sci-fi. Nikki, hi from the UK. Thanks for doing one in our time zone. Hey, I'm glad. I was trying to do it as early as possible, Nikki, because I know a lot of my friends over there usually don't get to join because it's so late. So thank you. It's still late, but thank you for joining. Andre says, you can improve the resolution of the prints by reducing the layer size and height and reducing the printing speed. Listen, I am so new to this whole thing. Like, I didn't know what a slicer software was until about a month and a half ago. So I'm learning. So thank you for that. I'll look into that. That's one of the many things I need to get better at. The adapter seems small enough that it should print relatively fast. Yeah, it's about a 30-minute print. Family Dad, only 19 likes. Come on, guys. Yeah, we got 33 likes, but 50 people, which I'm blown away and humbled. Thank you for being here. But if you would hit the thumbs up, I would appreciate it. What do I think of the one-step thriller now? I don't know. Not sure what that means. I'm sorry. Old Radio says, I haven't bought any records recently. I'm focused on cameras. Got the famous 814 Super 8 camera. That's awesome. Take what I can get. That's cool. Yeah, I dabble in cameras as well. Paper6122 says, want to say thank you. You helped me a lot about what record players to have. I started with a Victrola suitcase player that I got from a friend for free, and I'm getting an LP 120X next week. Awesome. Oh, dude, welcome in. And I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy that. That is going to be a fun experience. I sold my LP 120X a couple of years ago. I still regret it because I don't have a high-end component turntable to play 78s. That's one problem. And the other problem is that my 78 stylus cartridge, where is it? Here it is. My 2M78 Ortophon. It's a beautiful, expensive, designed to play 78 mono cartridge. Has no cantilever because yours truly fat finger sliced off the cantilever with my thumbnail or something, and I haven't replaced it. But this I used to run on my LP120X. It was great just to like play a 33, 45, and then a 78. So right now, if I want to play a 78, these two turntables don't do it. I've got to get out a portable. Then I want to do it right. I have a my classroom record player in storage has an actual 3mm tip on it, a flippable cartridge, and I can play it properly that way. But it's not so easy. Or I can play it on the phonograph, obviously, with a steel needle. But I can't just. It was a lot easier when I had the LP120 direct drive. I miss it. There was nothing wrong with it. It was great. Who would make a better restaurateur and why? Stevie Wonder, Pingu, or Paul Gascioni? I'm not sure if 2 or 3 of those people. I'm going to skip that and let you guys tell me. What's your favorite cartridge for jazz music under $200? Under $200, I would go. It would be a toss-up between a Grado Black, a Grado Blue, which I think is under $200. I think it's $160, and the Sumiko Black Pearl, which I'm running right now. It's a warm, resonant cartridge. I love it. I absolutely love it. Typically, and this is the way I think about cartridges, Grado cartridges are warm and rich. Audio-Technica, neutral. Ortophon, colder and accurate, and really accurate on high ends. I don't have a whole lot of experience outside of those 3. I do have a Shure cartridge, which sounds pretty neutral to me. I've got the Sumiko, which I said is pretty warm. It sounds like a Grado to me. And I've got a Nagaoka MP110 that came with my RT85. I've been a little unimpressed with it, actually. To me, it sounds pretty much just like a Audio-Technica 3600. It's not bad, but it's not. I would have rather had the Ortophon red or blue that came with the older versions of the RT85. But they've upgraded to the Nagaoka cartridge, and I took it off. It's okay. It just wasn't anything special. I'm actually running I think a VM95E on the RT85 now, and that's a good cartridge. This is my highest end cartridge. This is the Grado Gold Prestige 2. This is the 1 gen older now. They have the 3 series. Very warm, great sounding, very expensive, and I don't know if it's worth the cost. One cartridge that I want to review on this is this Empire. What is this thing? Empire ID50. This came on the Technics, and obviously it needs a stylus. But yeah, I've heard this is a pretty good cartridge. So I'm going to buy some new old stock for this and try that out. We'll probably do a show on that. What other interesting cartridges do I have at hand? My RT85, or wait, what is this thing? AT91R that came on the LP3 needs a stylus, so that's why it's in storage right now. What else do I got? That's all I have readily available right now. I've got some other things, other places, but yeah. I only have 5 records. I'm new to vinyl. I'm enjoying it because I'm a music lover. Well, that's great, Mike's World TV. Welcome in. And I was in that position as well. In fact, when I pitched the idea of collecting vinyl to my wife, I'm like, trust me, I'm going to get like 5 Glenn Miller records, and that's it. And I really thought that's all I was going to want or need. That was somehow 5 records would occupy me for the rest of my life. And then pretty soon I was able to fill a crate, and I was like, wow, I got a lot of records. And now it's just gross and out of control. So you're on the right path, and it'll grow before you know it. Especially if you watch a lot of my earlier videos on getting records for free, getting records for cheap. If you're not too picky about what you're looking for, if you're looking for used records for cheap, then you'll be able to expound on that. But welcome in, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's just fun to be learning about stuff like this. Old Radio says, thank goodness I got a repairman that gets my stuff work. That's nice to have. That's what I need. Because if it's up to me, I'm not that good at anything like that. Just test it before you buy it. If it's in a store, it's a good idea. Andre says, my only turntable is a built-in on top of vintage Crown integrated amp receiver. That was my father's. That's cool. Alex says, my first turntable was a Netis turntable for 40 euros last year. It was okay, but now my father and I bought an Audio-Technica LP3. That's a great turntable. I love it. And the difference is like night and day. I love that turntable. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Andre says, I have a connection with it because it's the same one I listened to when I was a kid. That connection is a valid and strong thing. That's why I've gone back and repurchased a lot of things I had as a kid. From an electronic standpoint, I bought my old Sony D131 CD player I had. I bought my old Sharp Walkman or portable cassette player. I bought my old Fisher Price. I bought my old Sony boombox. So yeah, I get that. The connection is strong, and so I get it. I think that's cool, and that's a great reason to have that record player. That's awesome. I also have found this phenomenon where I'll go back sometimes and play a game or listen to a song or see a piece of equipment that I haven't seen since I was a kid, and I'll be like, wow, it seemed a lot cooler, more interesting when I was younger, especially the video games. Like I look at some of this NES and Genesis games that seemed pretty good, and I'm like, wow, this entertained me. This is real basic. And I started on Atari. I couldn't go back that far anymore. I don't think. There were some great games back then in that era, but I hadn't seen anything better, so I didn't know what to compare it against. You know what I mean? 4 pixels was enough. I got a Zenith battery operated one from 1974. That's cool. Alex says it is connected with a Sony amplifier and 2 Technics speakers. The sound is amazing. I bet it is. We had a Curtis Mathis cabinet TV growing up, and it had a record changer. Oh, I love those big cabinets. Yes, with the AM/FM, the 8-track. My grandfather had one of those as well, and I just lost my space. Gosh. Thank you again, Mark, for the super chat. You got my attention. Dun, 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 dun. Got 2 separate amps connected to records, CDs, and tapes. Oh, interesting. Unparalleled. Wow. What do you guys think of Audio-Technica direct drive turntables? The only one I've ever had was the LP120X, and it was fantastic. There was no motor noise whatsoever, no rumble. It was perfect. Inspecting Gadget says integrity goes a long way. You praise their Victrolas, the Revolution Go, and you express your concerns of the V1. Yeah, exactly. I just tell it like it is. By nature, I am not somebody who's going to be driven to not be just, I wear my personality on my sleeve. This is who I am. So I'm not going to misrepresent anything. There's no benefit to anybody in doing so. Is the Glenn Miller story the one with Jimmy Stewart? Yes, it is. Love that movie, 1954. Old Radio says, I had the same Curtis Mathis in 2008 and had to part it out. Oh, man, that must have been hard. Greg, welcome in, my friend. Anthony Morris, welcome in. Andre says, would you recommend stacking an acrylic mat on top of rubber or cork? Have you tried? The problem with stacking mats is it just gets too thick because the tone arm is supposed to be parallel to the record surface, and it's designed for just one platter mat at a time. So if you put 2, it becomes too thick, and the tone arm is going to be at the wrong angle. So you have to stick with one or the other, unfortunately, unless you have a turntable with an adjustable tone arm height where you can adjust that vertical tracking angle so that the tone arm isn't riding up or down but stays level. Only turntable I ever had let's see. I think the C10, Crosley C10 by Project did that. We reviewed. And I know the LP7 did as well from Audio-Technica. L Diner says, I just saw a Via Westlife video on a Zenith idler wheel changer. He suggested a few things. I got to check that out. The guy's always 3 steps ahead of me. Old Radios. Must be fun having that name being grunted at, being asked about his tool. I know. I have to admit, the idea did pass my mind when I first saw him in the comments. But no, our Tim Allen is his own guy and is a sweet man and just really a good person, has been a friend, a kind and gentle soul. I do like Tim Allen of Home Improvement fame as well, though. Big Bird, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. How are you doing? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. Anthony Morris says, I mostly collect 33. And me too. I mostly collect vinyl records. I started off thinking I was only going to collect 78s. And then I migrated towards, regular 33 RPM LPs. And I've really stayed that way since. I do have a little of everything, but, Anthony has about 30 records. That's a good start. Andre says, most of what I listen to is digital. I've been actively working on backing off listening to streaming music. Apple Music now is lossless, which is great. Sound quality is perfect. There's no problem with it whatsoever. But I want to listen to physical media whenever I can. So I try to make a point of doing that. Plus, I like to own my music. I like to own a copy. It's one thing to have it in my favorites on Apple Music, but it's another thing to physically own the disc. That's just me. My wife, on the other hand, could care less if she owns music. She just wants to access the music. And same thing with my son. But for me, there's something special about having a copy of, et cetera, et cetera. How many records do I have? I have more than I need. I don't know the exact count. Hundreds of records. And I've got several crates in here. And I have more records elsewhere. I have boxes of records. I have shelves full of records. I have records squirreled away in places like that. By the way, these are unclaimed gift prize packages that 2 members of the nation won and didn't claim. We did a nation-only giveaway. Those are record packs. Each has 4 or 5 records, 3 to 5 records, maybe 3 records each. Mystery records. And they never claimed them. So I don't know what we're going to do either. At some point, we may just give them away to somebody else, but we do giveaways and stuff. But I've got those are more records to be given away. We've got record players. They're slotted to be given away. We always do contests and giveaways and stuff, which is why if you haven't subbed yet, sub. If you haven't thumbs up. If you haven't hit the, bell notification and enable notifications on your phone, you really should, because we'll do them in a way that would benefit you to win. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. You guys have any other questions or comments, go ahead and put it in now, please. Because I need to make the Recordology Vinyl Nation show, which will again be reviewing the record that we destroyed in the other show and doing some sound tests. And you're invited to join the nation if you haven't done so already. Link down below. I see Pizza Boy. My favorite stylus combo is a Panasonic EPC P53S P-mounted body. We did one P-mount cartridge review. We reviewed a Marantz linear tracker from like 1986. P-mount body with a Gico SAS. It sounds amazing on the inner grooves on most records. That's awesome. Do I have a wants list? In my head, but I've never published one before. I'm always on the lookout for Patsy Cline records. I'm always on the lookout for Glen Miller records and anything else that people think I'd be interested in. We have our P.O. box put in the description. So if you are so inclined, you are very welcome to send records. We'll give a shout out to whoever did it if they want one, and our sincere gratitude and thanks. We've had a lot of gifts from a lot of people, and it's just been a huge blessing. I'm not expecting anybody to do that, but when people choose to, it's a huge blessing. And I thank you guys all so much. Mostly I just want you to be here and hang out. Let's just hang out and watch, check out some cool stuff. Greetings from Panama. Happy Sunday to everybody. Andre, so glad to have you there. That's awesome. Okay, this name looks so awesome, but it looks so difficult to pronounce. Knef Sabir, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm sure I mispronounced your name, and I apologize. That is a cool name. Andre says, back to the 3D prints. There is a big community of people that print small figurines like soldiers and statues from D&D. The reason why I mention it is because they have a lot of tips, and I need to do more research. So thanks for the info. What do you feel about MCS turntable versus Technics? Isn't MCS made by Panasonic, who makes Technics? Wasn't that like Pencrest, kind of like a J.C. Penney brand, but made by Panasonic? I'm not sure. Less post-print processing, finishing means more time for other things. True. I upgraded my LP3 to a VM95E. Packs good wall. Yes, it does. I've got that running on the RT85 right now. It's great. Lost in Space have the whole show on DVD. Heard that my Disneyland record collection big value catch because they are from the 1670s, not the reprint. Oh, that's cool. That's great. Hold on one second, guys. I'm going to cough, and I don't want to do it in your. Dry throat. Sorry about that. How do you feel about monthly record clubs? I think they're cool. They're very expensive. We've reviewed a few of them on this channel most recently. I did get the Patsy Cline Vinyl Me Please release exclusive showcase on the 3-colored vinyl. I joined just to get that record, and then I quit the club because it's expensive. Green Doggo of Wisdom, welcome in. What's your favorite Elvis album? The best Elvis live to me is Madison Square Garden, bar none. I prefer the AM show. I think it's better than the Live from Hawaii show by far. Not by far, but it's significantly better. Studio albums. I mean, I love the classics, right? I love all the old school classics. I remember my parents had a copy of Today, and I want to get that. I've got back there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see Elvis. I've got a collection about that many Elvis records. We did a Nation show about a month ago showing all of those, and I've got some good ones. I've got some not rare ones. I've got some interesting ones. I love the movie soundtracks. I love a lot of Elvis. I associate it very closely with my father. Mr. Londell, sorry I'm late. That's okay. We're gonna post this video, I believe, and you'll be able to go back and watch it. Thank you for joining. Marcus has over 100 Elvis records. I'm slacking in the Elvis department. Got Moody Blue, all the big ones. You know what I mean? I got like some of the big ones. Andre says, I totally agree. I like to buy physical media. Mr. Londell, physical media is the way to go. Just ask all the folks that have lost movies they bought on PlayStation. Yeah, exactly. MCS turntable made by multiple manufacturers, and some are made by Technics. Interesting. And I caught up on comments. So we are 1 hour and 22 minutes. We'll hang on for a couple more minutes. If you guys have any final questions or comments, I'm going to think if I have anything interesting to say. So yeah, we're doing the show, reviewing that record tonight, and then I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do for Wednesday's show or Friday's show at this point. We have some product coming in, product samples for review. Crosley has multiple things heading towards us, but they've had a major problem on back ordering things and having product actually in hand, which is a bummer. There was a full product launch that was complicated by supply chain issues and things, and it was a bummer because I was really looking forward to that. That would have been very, very cool, especially if you guys like tie-ins that they've done with some intellectual properties. Audio Technica right now has been pretty quiet. There's not a lot of action with those guys. They have a new marketing agency that they're working with, and they're not as I wouldn't say easy to work with. They're very nice, but there just hasn't been much product coming from that regard or from that corner of the world. Like I said, Victrola is seized up 100%. The allergies I'm having today. I don't know what I'm allergic to. Probably my own self. I probably ought to get off of here and go do something else. It's enough. Even I'm sick of this. Just kidding. I love this. I could do this all day. In fact, that's why an hour and 24 minutes has gone by, and I feel like it's been 10 minutes. My wife's always like, "How do you talk that much? What on earth are you?" In fact, before I started, she's like, "What are you going to talk about?" I'm like, "I have no idea." Like, what do you mean? Like, do you not script it out or come up with a framework? I'm like, well, sometimes I have some ideas and things I want to talk to, but mostly I just like, it's like a faucet. There you go. Do I like Orville Peck? I do not know who Orville Peck is. Marcus, listening to Elvis for everyone. That's cool. Classic album. Yep. Andre says, thanks for the live video. This is fun. Andre, glad to have you there. Robert, the only CDs I buy these days are the ones I had as a teen and regret not taking care of. I've done that too. Or I'll pick up ones that were popular, but I didn't have. And I'm like, well, now I have a copy. Joseph, welcome in. We're just finishing up. I'm sorry. I hate it when I jump in on a live. They're like, well, that's it, everybody. I'm like, dang it. But I do need to run. Actually, I did buy the Thriller SA CD from SASD? SACD? That's cool, though. I bought a couple things. Have I bought from MoFi? I'm trying to think if I've bought from them before or not. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, my friends, I'm going to let you guys go for now. Thank you so much for indulging me. You should check out Orville Peck. I think you'll like it. I'll check it out right after this. Country pop. Very good. Sounds interesting, David. I'll check it out. Okay. I will check that out right after I get a phone here, or a phone. After I get the call. I live in Zoom calls all week long at work. So this is kind of like a Zoom call. Except I'm talking way more on these than I usually talk in my work meetings because, I mean, there is a chat going just like the Zoom call. But usually, it's not so unilateral, which we don't do a panel sometimes. Would that be wild? Would that be dangerous? Do a panel discussion, have like the Partridge or the Brady Bunch, multiple Hollywood Squares thing. That'd be kind of fun. That'd be really, really cool. Hey, George, no worries, man. I'm going to post it, I think. So just chill out for a couple of minutes and see if the video goes up. Glad to have you there, though. Thank you for joining. But anyway, my friends, thumbs up if you haven't done it already. Thank you, as always. You guys are awesome. God bless. Take care of one another. Be safe this week. And I love you all. Thank you so much, guys. Happy record hunting, and we will see you next time.